Welcome to The Explainer. You know all that classic advice about getting rich? Save a little, invest for 40 years? Well, what if there was a faster way? Today, we're digging into the story of Knack, a guy who made his first million baht by the time he was just 22. Yeah, by pretty much breaking all the traditional rules.
All right, let's just jump straight into it. So Knack actually had a pretty reasonable plan. He figured, okay, I'll hit my first 100,000 baht by 25 and then my first million by 30. A solid, respectable goal. But reality had something else in mind. He didn't just beat his timeline, he completely shattered it. So the big question is, how on earth did he speed things up so dramatically?
Well, he realized pretty quickly that the standard advice everyone gives, just invest your money, wasn't going to get him there fast enough. Now, don't get me wrong, investing is super important. But he stumbled upon a much bigger secret, especially when you're young. Forget just investing your money. First, you have to focus on earning way more money. So, his whole approach can really be broken down into this simple but honestly super powerful three-part formula. Think of it like building a house. You have to lay a massive foundation first before you can even think about painting the walls. Let's get into what that looks like. Okay, so here it is, the core of his whole strategy. It's 3 simple steps. Earn a lot, save aggressively, and invest consistently. Now, all 3 are obviously important, right? But he makes it super clear that the first step, earn a lot, that's the engine. That's what drives the whole thing. Because without a big income feeding the system, the other 2 steps they don't have much fuel to run on.
All right, so that leads us to the million-dollar question, right? How do you actually earn a lot, especially when you're starting from zero, when you have nothing? For Knack, the answer wasn't some complicated business secret. It was actually surprisingly simple. You just have to try a lot of stuff.
His whole journey really kicked off when he was just a teenager. And it started with something super simple. He loved playing Minecraft. So he did what a lot of kids do. He started a YouTube channel, dreaming of being a huge gamer, and just started recording and commentating on his gameplay. And the result? Complete and total failure. A flop. The channel went absolutely nowhere. No views, no subscribers, no money. You'd think that's the end of the story, right? A dead end.
But here's the twist. Even though the project failed, he walked away with something incredibly valuable: real skills. He taught himself how to talk to an audience and how to edit videos. These were the very first tools he put in what would become his entrepreneurial toolbox.
So did he give up? Nope. He kept on trying. His next idea was something you've probably heard of: dropshipping. He decided to sell watches from China. So he did the whole thing, made the graphics, wrote all the marketing copy, set up the online ads. And this time, it was an even bigger failure. Not only did he not make any money, he actually lost money on this one. Ouch. That's a really tough lesson for anyone trying to start a business.
But you're starting to see the pattern here, right? That money he lost, think of it like tuition. He paid for a masterclass in marketing, in business planning, and in buying online ads. Every single failure was just another investment in himself, adding more and more skills to his arsenal.
And he just kept going like this for years. He tried selling cacti, he did freelance graphic design, you name it. And with every attempt, successful or not, he added another skill to his toolkit: speaking, video, sales, design, marketing. He was building what you might call a skills stack. And pretty soon, he was basically a one-man digital army. This stack of skills, that became his real secret weapon. But here's the thing, having all those skills was great, but it wasn't the final piece of the puzzle. It wasn't enough to get him that major breakthrough. The real game changer, the thing that lit the fuse on his success, it was all in his head. It was a massive shift in his mindset. So what was this turning point? Picture this. He's in his last year of university, all of his little business projects are failing, and he is just about ready to throw in the towel. So what was it that took him from the edge of quitting to suddenly rocketing towards his first million? It all boiled down to one single, incredibly powerful thought. He's literally lying in bed, just staring up at the ceiling, and it hits him. He finally figured out what had been holding him back the entire time. It was his safety net. See, he was a really good student. He got great grades. And deep down, he always knew that if all these business ideas failed, it was okay. He could just go get a normal, safe, stable job. And that backup plan, that little voice in the back of his head saying, "You don't really have to make this work," that was the very thing stopping him from giving it 100%. So right then and there, he made a decision. He mentally cut the rope. He got rid of his safety net.
From that moment on, making his YouTube channel work wasn't just an option, it was the only option. There was no plan B. And that intense, focused pressure, that became the rocket fuel he needed.
And the results? They were absolutely insane. His YouTube channel had been stuck, doing nothing for over a year, but in the next 4 months, just 4 months, it skyrocketed to almost 50,000 subscribers. It was like he'd finally unlocked a door and unleashed his full potential.
Okay, so now the money engine is roaring. His income is finally taking off. And this is where he could bring in the other two parts of his formula, saving and investing. Let's look at how he turned all that income into actual, lasting wealth. Now, this is so important. As the money started pouring in, he made a really smart choice. He didn't get hit with lifestyle creep. He kept living just like he did when he was a broke university student. And because of that, he was able to save a staggering 80 to 90% of everything he earned. That's how he built up his capital so incredibly fast. And finally, with that big pile of savings, he could put his money to work. For him, investing isn't the thing that makes you rich. It's the cherry on top. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's how you protect the wealth you've already built and let it grow steadily over time. You know, his whole story really brings us to a final and kind of challenging question for ourselves. Because yeah, skills are important and having a system is great. But what Knack's journey really shows us is that the biggest breakthroughs often come from a change in mindset. So it really makes you think, doesn't it? What's the comfortable backup plan in your life? What's the safety net that might just be the one thing holding you back from going all in on what you really want?